I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel and like this video. My goal is to reach the first 1,000 subscribers. Thank you and enjoy. Before I get into it, here's the point of this story, because it's not just drama for the sake of drama. When respect starts dying in a home, it rarely dies in one big moment. It bleeds out through small disrespect that's never corrected. The practical focus here is simple: how to spot the early tests, how to respond without yelling or begging, and how to protect your time, your money, and your peace when someone starts treating you like a background character in your own house. I'm not a saint, and I'm not here to play therapist. I'm here to show what it looks like when a man stops negotiating for basic respect and starts changing the terms, calmly, clearly, and with consequences. It started with a mug. I set it on the edge of the drying rack. Not off the counter, not in the sink, on the rack. Same mug I've used for years, same kitchen we both pay for, same boring suburban morning where nothing is supposed to be dramatic. Ashley spun around like I'd lit the curtains on fire. Are you serious right now? You can't put one thing where it belongs. I glanced at the mug, then at her. She had that tight mouth, that sharp little stare that says, please react. Please defend yourself. Please give me the wheel. I kept my voice flat. Lower the tone. It's a mug. She laughed once, like I told a joke. Oh my God, you're unbelievable. You always ruin everything. Even the small stuff. Yeah. I sipped my coffee. It was already going lukewarm. Try a new hobby. Screaming isn't productive. She slammed a cabinet, walked out, and disappeared into the living room. Half an hour later, she came back like nothing happened, scrolling on her phone, thumb moving fast. What are we doing for dinner? No apology. No, hey, I overreacted. Just reset. Like I was a device she could power cycle. I watched her face while she scrolled. Calm. Comfortable. Like the whole explosion was just a button she'd pressed to see if it worked. That's when it hit me. It wasn't about the mug. It was a test. Can I get loud with no price? I gave her one answer. I'm eating late. I've got stuff. She didn't look up. Stuff. Yep. That night, I didn't pick a fight. I picked a direction. The next morning, I changed my routine without announcing it like a speech. I started training early again. Weights, cardio, the kind of work that clears your head. I shifted my hours at the office so I was in earlier and out later. I stopped doing the little domestic check-ins that basically existed to keep her informed and comfortable. No more. What time are you heading out? No more. Do you need me to grab anything? No more. We should plan Saturday. I wasn't punishing her with silence. I was removing access. Ashley noticed fast. She always did when the control knob stopped responding. On Wednesday, she leaned against the hallway wall while I put on my shoes. Too casual. Too practiced. You're leaving early again? She asked. I tied the laces slow. Yeah. For what? Training. She smiled with the corner of her mouth. Must be nice to just disappear whenever you want. I stood up and met her eyes. I'm not disappearing. I'm being predictable. You just don't like the new schedule. She rolled her eyes. Whatever. Don't forget, we have that neighborhood thing this weekend. Do we? I opened the door. Put it on the calendar if it matters. Her face changed for half a second. Not anger. Calculation. Like she was measuring how far she could push. At work, my buddy Evan noticed before anybody else. Evan's my closest friend, straight shooter, married, 2 kids, the kind of guy who doesn't dramatize anything. He slid into the chair across from my desk with his coffee. You've been quiet all week. I'm fine. That's not an answer, he said. That's a dodge. I leaned back and shrugged. Ashley's been running the house like it's her stage, and I'm the crew. Evan frowned. That bad? She's testing what she can get away with. What are you doing about it? I'm changing the terms. He nodded once, slow. Good. Just don't do it halfway. Half measures invite more nonsense. That line stuck. That night, Ashley tried a different angle. Not yelling. Not mocking. The soft voice. She placed a cup of coffee on the counter next to me while I read emails on my phone. The smell was decent, like she'd actually tried. There, she said gently. I made it the way you like. I looked up. You're being nice. She blinked, offended on purpose. What? I can't be nice to my husband. I took one sip. You can. The timing is just interesting. She sat on the stool, knee bouncing. You've been distant. I worry about you. I gave her a small smile. That's cute. You remembered I have a pulse. Her eyes narrowed, then softened again like a switch. Come on. We don't need this tension. Let's just talk like adults. Adults don't do the explode and reset routine, I replied. Adults own their tone. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away dramatically. I just didn't give her my hand. She held that pose for a second, then withdrew like she hadn't been rejected. Okay, fine. I'm sorry I snapped about the mug. Happy. Closer, I said. Not finished. What else do you want? Her voice sharpened. I want baseline respect, I said, still calm. Not a performance. She stood up too fast, chair scraping. God, you're exhausting. I glanced at the coffee. And you're strategic. She opened her mouth, then shut it. She grabbed her phone and walked away. That was the first softening. It looked like progress if you squinted. But the eyes gave it away. She wasn't repairing anything. She was trying to reattach the leash. 2 days later, she escalated. I was at the kitchen table paying bills on my laptop. Normal adult stuff. Mortgage, utilities, the boring machine that keeps suburbia running. Ashley walked in with her phone in her hand, and that false casual energy again. Hey, I need access to your card. I didn't look up right away. I clicked through the payment screen, then closed the laptop like I had all the time in the world. No. Her eyebrows lifted. Excuse me. No, I repeated. If you need something handled, you ask ahead of time. I'm not an ATM. She scoffed. I'm your wife. And I'm still not an ATM. She stepped closer. It's just a couple of bills. I forgot my wallet at my mom's. Then go get it. You're being ridiculous, she snapped. I leaned forward slightly. You're being predictable. You didn't forget anything. You're testing access. Her cheeks flushed. Wow. So now you think you're some kind of detective. No, I said. I'm a guy who pays attention. She threw her hands up. Fine. Whatever. I'll handle it myself. God. She stormed out, and I didn't chase. I didn't explain. I didn't plead for harmony. I just opened my laptop again and did something adults do when they stop trusting the situation. I moved my direct deposit into an account in my name only. Not because I wanted drama. Because I wanted clarity. Joint finances only work when there's joint respect. Otherwise, it's just funding somebody else's plan. The next afternoon, my phone rang while I was in the parking lot at the gym. Unknown number. I answered. Parker. A woman's voice, tight and rushed. Parker, it's Sarah. Sarah was Ashley's friend. Not my friend. The kind of woman who always hugged too hard and asked too many questions about other people's business. I hadn't heard from her directly in years. I leaned on my truck, eyes scanning the lot. Sarah, what's going on? She exhaled like she'd been holding it. I'm outside a grocery store. I can't do this at my house. Listen, I've been going back and forth about calling you. Spit it out. She's seeing someone, Sarah said quickly. Ashley. And it's Tyler. My jaw stayed relaxed, but everything inside me turned into cold math. Tyler was a guy I used to call a friend. Not a best friend. Not family. But close enough to share beers, help move furniture, show up at barbecues. Close enough to know your wife's favorite coffee order. Sarah kept talking. It's not new. It's been a while. And she's not even careful anymore. I've seen messages. I've seen her leave places with him. I didn't move. How long is a while? Months, she whispered. Maybe longer. And you're telling me now. I know, she said, voice cracking. I know. I'm sorry. I can't watch her do this and watch you, you know. I cut her off. Don't do the pity voice. Just give me facts. She swallowed. Okay. She's been talking about changing things. Like making sure she's set up. She asked me about storage units. She asked me what happens with the house if you leave. I stared at my windshield, seeing nothing. Right. And Parker, please don't tell her it was me. I let out a quiet breath through my nose. I won't. Thanks for not being a coward. Sarah went silent for a beat, like she didn't expect that. Just be careful, she said. I'm careful by default, I replied, and ended the call. I didn't sit down. I didn't punch a wall. I didn't do any of that movie nonsense. I stood there in the parking lot and wrote a list in my head. Ashley is meeting Tyler. Ashley is planning logistics. Ashley is pushing for financial access. Ashley believes I'll stay quiet and fund it. And here's the part that stung more than anything. She knew what Tyler meant. She knew it wasn't just betrayal. It was disrespect with an extra layer. And she still chose it. That weekend, we had the neighborhood cookout on our street. Folding tables, paper plates, kids running around, the usual suburban theater. Ashley acted like we were fine. That's her specialty. In public, she could put on the normal couple costume like it was custom tailored. Our neighbor, Mike, slapped me on the back. Parker, haven't seen you in a minute. You've been hiding. I smiled politely. Just busy. Ashley slid an arm through mine like we were a brochure. He's been on this health kick, she announced. He thinks he's 25 again. I looked down at her hand on my arm. Then I looked at her face. Careful, I said softly, so only she heard. Her smile didn't change. Careful about what? About getting comfortable, I replied. She tightened her grip just a little. You're being weird. Not weird, I said. Precise. We walked over to where Evan was standing with his wife, Dana. Dana's one of those women who can be sweet and terrifying at the same time. She reads rooms like a scanner. Ashley's eyes locked onto Evan like he was a tool she could borrow. I noted that. She'd already tried to pull him into something. That wasn't an accident. Ashley laughed too loud at something I didn't say, then leaned toward Dana. So, Dana, how do you handle it when your husband gets all moody? Dana blinked. Moody. Ashley tilted her head. You know, distant. Cold. Like he's punishing you. Evan's eyes slid to me, quick. A warning. I took a sip of lemonade, calm. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm adjusting my schedule. Adults do that. Ashley's laugh turned sharp. Sure, that's what it is. Mike chuckled awkwardly. Burgers are ready, I think. Ashley wasn't done. She turned to the small group like she wanted an audience. He's been acting like I need to earn basic conversation. Can you believe that? Dana's face went still. Evan's jaw tightened. I set my cup down on the table. Not hard, just final. I looked at Ashley. Don't perform me for people. Her eyes widened, offended. Excuse me. You heard me, I replied. If you have a problem, you talk to me. You don't use the neighborhood as your stage. She scoffed, trying to laugh it off. Oh my God, you're so dramatic. I raised my eyebrows. I'm not the one recruiting witnesses. Dana stepped in, voice calm but edged. Ashley, that's not a cute move. Ashley turned on her. I wasn't talking to you. Dana smiled politely. You were talking at everyone. Ashley's face tightened. She looked around, realizing the room wasn't on her side. I didn't gloat. I just delivered the boundary while it mattered. We're leaving, I said. Ashley stared at me like I'd slapped her. We just got here. And now we're done, I replied. Mike lifted his hands, uncomfortable. Hey, no stress. No stress, I agreed. Just clarity. Ashley hissed under her breath as we walked to the car. You embarrassed me. I unlocked the doors. You tried to embarrass me. It didn't work. In the car she exploded, but quiet enough to keep the neighbors from hearing through open windows. You think you're some kind of king now? She snapped. Ordering me around? I pulled out of the driveway smoothly. I didn't order you around. I removed myself from disrespect. You're controlling, she spat. I glanced at her. That's rich. She crossed her arms, lips tight. So what? You're going to punish me forever because you can't handle criticism? I kept my eyes on the road. That wasn't criticism. That was you trying to make me small in front of people. She laughed bitterly. Everything is about your ego. No, I replied. It's about standards. You can call it ego if that helps you sleep. She went silent, staring out the window like she was gathering ammunition. That night, she tried the second softening. Not coffee this time. She went bigger. I came out of the shower and found her sitting on the edge of the bed in one of my old t-shirts, hair brushed, face calm. The I'm sweet now costume. She patted the spot next to her. Can we reset? I dried my hands, stayed standing. Define reset. She looked up with wide eyes. I miss us. I miss you. I let a small, humorless laugh out. You miss the version of me you could steer. Her expression flickered. That's not fair. Fair isn't the point, I replied. True is the point. She stood and walked toward me slowly. Okay, what do you want? Tell me. I'll do it. That was the line. The transactional offer. I stepped back half a pace. I want consistency. I want respect even when you're annoyed. I want you to stop treating me like an appliance. Her voice softened even more. I can do that. I nodded once. Good. She reached for my waist like we were about to fall back into old patterns. I moved her hand off me gently, like you move a hand off a hot stove before it burns you. Not like that. Her eyes narrowed. So you're rejecting me now. I'm not rewarding a strategy, I replied. If you mean what you're saying, you'll still mean it next week when you don't get what you want. She went still, and for the first time I saw irritation break through the sweetness. You're unbelievable. I shrugged. I've heard. She spun away, grabbed her phone, and the softness evaporated. And that's how I knew. The tenderness wasn't for me. It was for control. A few weeks earlier, quietly, I'd installed cameras. Not because I wanted to play spy games. Because I wanted to stop guessing. Front door, garage, living room corners. Simple. Legal in my own house. I didn't tell her. I didn't need her permission to stop being blind. On a Tuesday, I stayed late at the office on purpose. Not to catch her like some dramatic guy in a bad movie. Just to let life reveal itself. When I got home, the house looked normal. Too normal. The air felt edited. Ashley was in the kitchen wiping a counter that didn't need wiping. "Hey," she said, breezy. "Long day." "Yep," I replied, hanging my keys. She smiled. I cleaned up a bit, trying to keep things nice. I nodded and walked past her like I believed it. That night, after she went to bed, I pulled up the footage on my phone. There she was, mid-afternoon, moving with purpose. Boxes. Bags. She opened the hall closet, pulled out some of our shared stuff, and loaded it into the trunk of her car. Not random cleaning. Not decluttering. Selected items. The kind you grab when you're building a backup plan. The timestamps were clean. Her face was clear. No confusion. No, I forgot. Just logistics. I watched one clip twice, not because I needed to suffer, but because I needed to be certain. The next morning, I didn't confront her like a screaming husband on a daytime talk show. I poured my coffee, sat at the table, and waited for her to walk in. She breezed in, phone in hand. "Morning." "Morning," I echoed. She opened the fridge. "We're low on creamer." I nodded toward the chair across from me. "Sit." She paused like that word annoyed her. "Why?" "Sit," I repeated. She sat, eyes narrowing. "What is this?" I slid my phone across the table and tapped play. No speech. No accusations. Just footage. Her face changed in real time. First confusion. Then recognition. Then anger, because her secret wasn't secret anymore. She pushed the phone back like it was dirty. "You put cameras in the house?" "Yes," I replied. "That's insane." "No," I said. "What's insane is you loading boxes into your trunk and pretending you were wiping counters." Her voice rose. "I was organizing." I tilted my head. "Organizing into your car." She opened her mouth, then closed it. She tried a new lane. "You don't trust me." I kept my tone flat. "You haven't earned trust in a while." She stood up fast. "So what? You're going to interrogate me? Treat me like a criminal?" "I'm not interrogating you," I replied. "I'm informing you. My money is protected. My schedule is protected. And my patience is finished." Her eyes flashed. "You can't just." "I can't," I cut in. "Watch me." She stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. "You're not the man I married." I nodded once. "Correct. The man you married tried to keep things smooth. This one keeps things honest." She grabbed her phone and stormed out. An hour later, Evan called me, voice low. "Ashley reached out." I wasn't surprised. "What did she want?" "She asked if I could get you to meet up. She said she wants to talk like adults and keep it private." I snorted once. "Private. Convenient." Evan sighed. "I told her I'm not getting in the middle, but I wanted to ask you directly." "You're not setting anything up?" I said. "No meetings. No cozy sit-down. She wants an audience with rules she controls." Evan paused. "You sure?" "I'm sure," I replied. "If she has something to say, she can say it in the kitchen where the truth lives." Evan exhaled. "Copy that. I'm with you." "Thanks," I said. "And Evan, if she tries to paint me as the bad guy, don't debate. Don't argue. Just step back." "Already there," he replied. "This smells off." It smelled off because it was off. Ashley wasn't trying to repair anything. She was trying to manage the narrative while she moved pieces behind the curtain. That Friday, she escalated again, this time with Tyler's name without saying it. We were in the garage. I was organizing my tools, creating my own order in a house that had started to feel like borrowed space. She walked in holding a small box. "I'm taking some things to my mom's," she said, casual. I didn't look up. "What things?" "Just stuff," she replied. I nodded toward the box. "Open it." Her eyes snapped to mine. "What?" "Open it," I repeated. "If it's just stuff, it's not a problem." She tightened her grip. "You're being controlling again." I smiled slightly. "No, I'm being careful. You don't get to rewrite words and call it adult." She set the box down hard. "Fine. Here." She opened it. Inside were a few personal items, but also paperwork. Household paperwork. Things you don't casually move unless you're building an exit route. I tapped the top folder with one finger. "That's not stuff. That's strategy." Her face flushed. "I'm trying to protect myself." From what? I asked. From consequences? She glared. You've been cold. You've been shutting me out. I nodded. After you made the house hostile. She scoffed. Hostile? Because I got mad about a mug? I stared at her for a long beat. Don't insult my intelligence. Her voice sharpened. So you think you're perfect? I think I'm done, I replied. And you're about to learn what done looks like. She laughed, but it shook. You're bluffing. I walked past her into the house, grabbed my keys, and headed out. Not to cool down. To take initiative. I went to my storage unit, one I rented quietly the day after Sarah called, and moved my important documents and a couple personal items that mattered to me. Not furniture. Not drama. The things you can't replace with an apology. When I got back, Ashley was waiting in the kitchen like a prosecutor. Where were you? She demanded. I set my keys down. Handling my business. With who? She pressed. I gave her a slow look. That question is funny coming from you. Her mouth opened, then shut. What is that supposed to mean? It means I'm not playing detective out loud. I replied. I don't need to. I have enough. Her eyes flashed panic for half a second. You're paranoid. I nodded. Call it whatever you want. I call it prepared. She tried the sweet lane again. Quick, like throwing a blanket over a fire. Parker, she said softly, stepping closer. Can we just stop? I don't want this. I looked at her, steady. You didn't want this when you were loading boxes either. You wanted control. Her face hardened. You don't know what you're talking about. I leaned in slightly, voice calm. I know you're making room in your life for someone else. I know you've been managing me like a resource. And I know you thought I'd stay quiet. She went pale, then angry. You have no proof. I smiled, small and sharp. You keep underestimating me. That's been your favorite mistake. She stared at me, breathing shallow, like she wanted to scream but didn't want to admit anything. I didn't push for a confession. Confessions are for people who still want closure. I wanted freedom. The next morning, I cooked breakfast for myself. Not for us. For me. Eggs, toast, coffee. Normal. Quiet. Ashley came in, hair messy, eyes puffy like she'd been up messaging someone. What are you doing? She asked. Eating, I replied. She leaned on the counter. So what's the plan? You're just going to keep acting like I don't exist. I took a bite, chewed slowly. You've been practicing that for months. I'm just catching up. She slammed her palm on the counter. I'm your wife. I kept chewing, then swallowed. That title used to mean something. Now it's just a word you throw when you want access. She stared at me like she wanted to break something. I set my fork down. Here's how it's going to be. We live separate inside this house until I finish my exit. No shared money. No shared schedule. No pretending. You can't do that, she snapped. I already did, I replied. She laughed bitterly. So you're leaving. I stood, rinsed my plate, and set it in the dishwasher. I'm leaving the game. You wanted freedom of movement. Congratulations. You get it. Just without my presence. She stepped forward, voice tight. Where am I supposed to go? I turned and looked at her like she'd asked me to solve her own plan for her. That's between you and the choices you've been making. Her face twisted. You're heartless. I nodded once. No, I'm finally consistent. She tried one last move. Tears, soft voice, the wounded act. Parker, don't do this. We can fix it. I held her gaze. If you wanted to fix it, you wouldn't have needed a plan. She froze. She knew exactly what I meant. I walked past her, grabbed my jacket, and left for work like it was any other day. A week later, I moved out quietly. Not with a screaming match. Not with a parade of friends carrying couches. I took what mattered and I went. I'd lined up a small rental across town. Clean, simple, mine. Ashley called that night. Her voice was sweet again, but it shook around the edges. So you're just gone? She said. Yes, I replied. Are you really doing this? I sat on the edge of my new couch, looked at the empty room. It felt peaceful, not lonely. I already did. You're going to throw away our life? She asked. I let a short laugh out. You threw it away. I'm just not standing under it anymore. Silence. Then she went cold. You're making a mistake. I kept my tone flat. The mistake was thinking respect was optional. She started to say something, maybe a threat, maybe a plea. I didn't let it land. This is the last call we have like this, I said. From now on, communication is short and practical. If it's not practical, it doesn't happen. You can't just decide that, she snapped. I smiled to myself. Watch me. And I ended the call. Months passed. Life got better fast when it wasn't being drained daily. I got promoted at work because my focus came back. I slept like a normal man again. I trained consistently. I bought a different place later. Nothing flashy, just solid. A home that felt like mine the second I turned the key. Evan stayed close. Dana invited me over for Sunday dinners sometimes. No pity, just normal. The way adults support each other, quietly. And yeah, I started seeing someone new after a while. Her name was Melissa. Straightforward woman. No games. When she had a problem, she said it. When she appreciated something, she showed it without using it as a bargaining chip. One night, Melissa looked around my living room and said, "You're calmer than most men I meet." I shrugged. I learned the hard way that peace isn't luck. It's enforcement. Ashley, I didn't watch her life like a soap opera. I didn't need to. I heard enough through mutual circles. The comfort she'd been protecting started slipping the second my money and presents were gone. The easy version of life she'd been rearranging furniture for didn't show up the way she expected. People who chase shortcuts usually end up paying full price later. And the funny part? The house didn't feel like a loss. It felt like a lesson. Because the real win wasn't property or status. It was walking out of a place where I wasn't respected and realizing my peace was worth more than familiarity. If you're pulling lessons from this, keep them practical. First, the early tests matter. The mug wasn't a mug. It was a probe. The explode and reset routine is designed to train you to accept disrespect without consequence. If you swallow those moments, you teach someone how to treat you. The fix isn't yelling. The fix is a boundary with a price tag. Lower the tone, then action if it continues. Second, don't negotiate access when trust is fading. When Ashley pushed for card access and vague bills, that wasn't a budgeting conversation. That was a control grab. The mistake would have been explaining myself for an hour, trying to be understood by someone who was calculating, not listening. I protected my resources quietly and early. Adults don't wait for a crisis to get organized. Third, don't chase closure from a person who's running a plan. A long emotional talk feels mature, but it's often just a stage for manipulation. The mistake would have been meeting her on her terms, in a private setup, letting her steer the narrative. I kept it simple. Facts, boundaries, and distance. Respect and boundaries aren't decorations you hang when the mood is good. They're load-bearing. When someone treats you like you're optional, your job isn't to earn your spot. Your job is to decide what you allow and to act like your decision means something. That's the end of the story. And since you're here, you must have enjoyed it. Why not subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos? Thanks, and have a nice day.